whatever your epic journey is, that first step is not nearly as hard as you imagine it would be. And you take it, and all of a sudden you go, well, that wasn't too hard. Let me take the next step. And so I
Right.
just wanted to share with the world that today is the day that you get to step into your epic. You don't have to wait.
Some experts chase attention, but the smart ones build authority. You're listening to the Authority on Demand podcast, where credibility becomes your competitive advantage. Every week, we're pulling back the curtain on how founders and leaders turn expertise into inbound demand through books that position, media that converse, and strategies that actually move the needle. I'm Danielle Hutchinson, your host and Chief Creative Officer at Authority on Demand. Now, let's turn your authority into leverage. Have you ever felt stuck, overwhelmed, or unsure of how to move forward after a setback? Our guest today, Zander Sprague, intimately understands that struggle. After losing his sister in a tragic event, he discovered his purpose, empowering people with his new book about resilience. Epic begins with one step forward. It's an amazing book. We have a lot to discuss today. Without further ado, Zander, welcome to the Authors on Mission podcast.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here. I'm excited to share.
Hey, real quick before we jump back in, if you're loving what we're doing here, hit that subscribe button and drop us a like. We're bringing you the best authors, the most real conversations, and all the writing wisdom that you didn't know you needed. So stick around because it only gets better from here. All right, now let's get back to the conversation. Yeah, I think it's going to be a great conversation because, we all go through setbacks in our life. And at the end of the day, well, to get through it, we just have to start with that one first step. So it's a really powerful message that you're putting forward. So I'd love to, chat a little bit about you, though. And in the introduction, I did mention the unfortunate experience with your sister. I was wondering if you wanted to speak of that a little bit and how it led you to this book. If you're open to sharing with us.
Absolutely. I talk about my sister a lot, pardon me. um, yeah, I mean, 29 years ago, my older sister Lucy was murdered. And to be honest, there were things I knew I'd deal with in my life, but murder really, it wasn't one of them. And through that experience, there were a few things I discovered. First of all, I'm a lot more resilient than I thought I was. And in fact, most of us are a lot more resilient than we actually believe that we are. Um, I also discovered that being a sibling survivor, there's not a lot of resources, and I felt really lonely, and I wanted to do something about that. And so I've written 3 books. And the first one was called Making Lemonade, Choosing a Positive Pathway After Losing Your Sibling, which was specifically about my experience of loss. And 6 of my friends who had lost siblings answered some questions for me. I'm very grateful for that. But it was more sort of a, hey, here are things to help you get through that experience. Um, then I wrote Why Don't They Cry, which was a book for parents to understand their living child's grief. And that book came because as I talked about sibling loss, I met lots of parents who would come up to me and say, Zander, I've lost a son or daughter, but I have other living children. And they kept asking me, why don't they cry? Why don't I see them grieve in front of me? So I wrote this groundbreaking book to help parents understand that. And here's a funny thing, Danielle. I'm a really positive person. So talking about death all day, it's a bit of a bummer. I mean, I'm enthusiastic to share what I know and to help other sibling survivors and help parents. But the epic begins with one step forward was really, I'm like, I need a more general book. I have very specific niche books, which are great. They've been well received. They're helping thousands of people around the world. But I'm like, I've got a much more positive message. And that's more that um, all of us have done epic things in our life. And yet when if I ask people, what's something epic you've done? People say oh, I haven't done anything. But if I push a little, I find out that we've all done something epic. So I wanted to encourage people to step into their epic. Do those things that you say, someday I want to write a book, run a marathon, travel somewhere. Why not today?
Right. Well, that's really inspiring. I love that you ended that with that uplifting message. And I guess that goes to show why you're known as the god of enthusiasm. I mean,
Yeah.
that's such a cool nickname. I'm curious to know how you got that a nickname. But it's a lot, but it goes to show that you remain the optimism despite all of the challenges in your life. So yeah, where'd you get that nickname?
I did not give it to myself. It was it sort of came from me giving speeches and just being on stage is really my happy place. Getting to be on podcasts and stuff. And so someone's like, "Wow, you are so enthusiastic," and then um, someone overheard that and it's like, "Wow, you are like the god of enthusiasm. Your energy radiates." And I was like, "I will take that.
I'll take
I
that.
believe."
Yeah. No, that's great though. I think that's a really powerful way to put yourself forward. You went through setbacks, but hey, here you are. You created this framework to get people, uplifted in times of doubt and setbacks. So it's wonderful. Um, but how did that framework come to be? I mean, was it just through lived experiences? Was it trial and error? How exactly did we come to Epic?
Well, you know, let's go back a few years. I'm a licensed professional clinical counselor, and I live in California. And in order to sit for the exam, you need 3,000 hours of internship. So that takes a while. I was so excited. I finished my hours up in February of 2020. I had all these great plans. I was going to take the exam. I was going to do all these things. And then March of 2020 came. And you might remember we had a little pandemic that kind of shut everything down.
Yeah, a
So
little.
a little, and I was sitting in my apartment trying to figure out like what's going on and what am I going to do. And um, I was reflecting on my life and I'm like, I've done some pretty epic things in my life. And I've always liked the word epic, like an epic adventure. It's full of so much optimism. So I thought about stuff, and I mean, honestly, if you asked me in college if I'd ever write a book, I'd be like, absolutely not. Um, Truth be told, I'm a talker, not a typer, and the fact that I've written 3 books it honestly blows my mind on a daily basis. Because I never saw myself as a writer. So the whole idea of epic came because I was like, how did all of this begin? How did the things that I did, how did those begin? Well, it began because I decided to try and do it. And I took that first step. And a funny thing is, whatever your epic journey is, that first step is not nearly as hard as you imagine it would be. And you take it and all of a sudden you go, well, that wasn't too hard. Let me do, let me take the next step. And so I
Right.
just wanted to share, I want to share with the world that today is the day that you get to step into your epic. You don't have to wait. And, uh, you know, uh, again, my writing books is just like, wow, how did that happen? Not only that, but 2 of my books that you see over my shoulder were Amazon bestsellers. Honestly, I just never in a bazillion years did I think that that would ever be possible.
Right, and that's amazing. You just surprise yourself every day with the things that you accomplish when you put that step forward. So you're an exact example of what you're putting into the world. Take that one step, that one leap of faith. You never know, right? So that's really cool. I like that. And since it is right behind you, I'm wondering if you'd like to take this opportunity to chat a little bit about that cover because it's a very uplifting cover that gives people a good idea of what the book's about. How did that design come into the picture?
Well, it's funny with cover design. You sort of have an idea in your mind, but then I'm not artistic, so I'm like, how am I going to figure this out? But I liked the idea that since I was talking about epic journeys, well, that's a road. And I actually had a picture that I started off with, which I was fortunate enough to travel to Africa, and I just happened to get this photo of this long kind of dirt road winding off into a sunset. And I thought, well, that's great. And then what better way to celebrate your epic journey than hands up in the air of I am doing it. I am here, right? And so I sort of explained that to a graphic artist, and we went back and forth about what the color would be and what it would look like. But I also like the idea of the mountain, because any epic journey is a bit of a mountain for you to climb.
Right, exactly. Well, I love that. And like I said before, it really gives people a good picture of what they can expect when they open the book. And of course, it's eye grabbing too.
Yes.
Um, so now that we've chatted a bit about the premise of the book, your experiences, and also the cover design, I think it's time to open that cover a little bit and think about, what's inside the words on the page, the process of getting this full framework on to the pages to share with others. So, what was that process like for you? Did you encounter any specific challenges in planning out the book? What were some of your biggest achievements as writing it? Tell us a little bit about that. What was the day-to-day process of writing it?
Okay. So I'm going to put writing the book in quotes, in the air quotes,
Okay.
because, as I said, I'm a talker, not a typer. And what I discovered when sat down to write my first book was, um, well, I like to talk a lot. So all of my books, actually, first two books I dictated. And this book, I was actually working with a business coach and had the idea, came up with the outline, and then what we did is we did a series of uh, conversations over Zoom where we recorded them so that I could spew all of my ideas out, and then I used a transcription tool to get the transcript. That gave me some clay to work with, and then from there I took what was said and put it more into a more readable form. But it was so much easier when I had something to work with versus me trying to type it out. I mean, I will, if I need to talk to someone, I will pick up a phone 9 times out of 10 because one, I like to talk, two, I hate to type, and three, I find it a much more effective form of communication.
Right. Well, hey, you got to figure out what works best for you. Some people enjoy the writing, the physical act of it. I mean, maybe even the typing or getting a pen and a paper and writing it out. And some people enjoy speaking, which is exactly what you did. And I guess the benefit of that is you really do get your natural voice if you're using your own transcripts and speaking to write the book. So I'm sure that only made it even better.
Yeah, and again, you're exactly right. Go
Yeah.
with what comes naturally when you're writing a book or creating a book. If talking is the way that you prefer, do it. There's so many great tools nowadays that will allow you to take your spoken word and get it onto some type of, I'll say, paper or a document or something, but get it down. And once you have that, then it gets much easier. You have something tangible to work with where you can then go craft it out.
I like that. And so, as a question, then, did that process change for you from writing your first book? Did it evolve throughout the years, or did you say,
Yeah, it definitely evolved. I mean, some of it was technology caught up to what I wanted to do,
right?
and like anything, you learn as you do. So obviously, by the time I got to Epic, I had learned quite a lot about what it takes to write a book, how long it takes to write a book, how I wanted to do it, and all of that was great. And also, uh, I wrote my first book in like 2003, and one of the things. Um, well, I sat on that book for 5 years. I had it done, and I told people I was coming out with a book, but I really wasn't because I wasn't doing anything to make it come out. And I got tired of saying that to people. I didn't want to be one of these people who 10 years later said, "Oh, yeah, I'm coming out with a book." And people are like, "Yeah, right. Right, Xander. Where's the book?" Right. So I got really brave. Because as I said, I didn't see myself as a writer. I had a lot of feedback in school that told me I wasn't a particularly good writer. So I was really scared to put this out, but I wanted the book out there. So I put it out there. And I'd say for the first year, I had a huge case of imposter syndrome. People would tell me they liked the book. And in my head, the voice was like, "Really?" Because
Mm.
I would have believed more if they told me it wasn't worth the paper it was printed on than that they liked it. But I said, well, all these people can't be wrong. If people are liking it and finding value, there is value in what I've written and what I've shared.
Understood. Yeah, well, definitely have to get over that imposter syndrome is what I think people call it these days. It's important to value yourself and take pride in your work, and clearly you've been able to because you're helping so many people throughout the course of all these books. So it's an amazing thing to think about. Um, that being said, I guess I have to ask. I mean, you've written 3 books now. Is there any more in the on the horizon that we could be looking forward to?
Well, let me answer it with something I say in my epic book: not yet.
Not yet.
Um,
Maybe one day.
I don't, I mean, I'm thinking about what the next book might be, but I don't have a definitive idea of exactly what direction. I think, expanding on the epic theme is something I want to do. I'm really leaning in to the epic begins with one step forward kind of idea. But I got to figure out what that looks like. And um, it's also mapping out the time frame, because writing a book, you have to know that you have set aside the time to not only write it, but to edit it, proofread it 8 bazillion times. You know, I have to say, the editing part is, I think, the harder part of writing a book, because you're looking for mistakes. And I know with all my books, when it finally came out, I actually didn't want to look inside of my book for about a month or so, because I had just read my book completely like 6, 7, 8 times, looking for just any mistake or corrections. And am I happy with the way I said it? And, that's an important thing if you want to write a book. Um, do
Right.
not chase perfectionism, because you got to get your book out. And at some point, you have to say, it's good enough. Let's get this out.
Yeah, exactly. And because if you don't, then it's never going to get out there. The message is never going to spread, and you would have never impacted the countless lives that you have by having the book out there. It's amazing stuff. So it's interesting because these books they're jam packed with exercises and tips and strategies and examples. But if somebody was really interested in getting immersed in your world and your ideas, then what's the first step you think somebody should take? One of your favorite techniques, for example, from the text that people should implement today. What do you think?
Um, I think, one of the important things to do is create some structure for yourself.
Mm.
As I said, in thinking about writing a book, that's creating structure. That's creating a roadmap for myself on how and when I'm doing the writing. So if you want to write a book, sit down, and this does take some work, but it makes it so much easier. Plan out when you're going to write each and every day. And maybe it's like, I will type so many words, or 5 pages, or 2 pages, or whatever. It's so much easier if you get up and go, here's my time to write, and that's what I'm going to do. Look, if you get on a roll and you have the time, keep going. If you're having a hard day writing and you're all right, I got my 2 pages typed, that's it. If that's all that you have time, maybe you get up, an hour earlier than you normally would, and go, here's my time to write. But by doing that, it makes it so much easier, and then you don't worry about it. You have it scheduled in. And schedules do really make all of us, from a sort of psychological standpoint, make us feel more comfortable. We know what to expect and when.
Right, exactly. So, hey, I love all of that, and I think I'd like that plan, right? You have to set a plan for people to follow to actually accomplish those dreams. Same way with writing, same way with anything. So that's beautiful to say. Um, Amazing stuff. If people do want to learn more from you though, and they're inspired by this conversation today, and they love what you have in the books, where can they go to get in contact with you?
If you go to epicbegins.com, you will find all things Xander. Really easy. You can follow me on Instagram, epic_begins. If you Google Zander Sprague, I will come up. I'm not hard to find, but the easiest way is epicbegins.com, and that will get you to all of my books. You can get a hold of me, find out what else I'm doing, listen to my podcast, etc.
Oh, perfect. I love that. Guys, we're going to put the links to it in the description box of this podcast today. So amazing. Click on over, get in the know, get in touch, because how else are you going to, you know, take that first step forward after a setback without this framework in mind? So click on over and get connected. That being said, I'm wondering if you have any, last minute writing tips for the audience today, maybe something that you wish you knew when you first got started that might benefit the audience listening today.
Don't be afraid. Even if you are not sure if you're a writer, I mean, trust me, put it out there. People really will appreciate what you have to say. Just believe in yourself, believe in what your project is, and put it out there. Sure, there may be one or two people who go, "Oh, I didn't like that." But I guarantee there are so many more people who will appreciate what you have to share.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And take the example from you. You know, you weren't sure when you first got started, and here you are now, like 3 books in and countless
Exactly.
So amazing. Thank you for that. This has been a very inspiring conversation. I think people will learn a ton from it. So thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for your time.
You bet. Thank you so much.
Of course. And guys, remember, go ahead and follow Xander. We're going to put the links in the description box of this podcast today. Just get more daily doses of his signature enthusiasm, right? And remember, every epic journey begins with a single step. So take that step today. And if you're ready to start your own book, well, head to authorsonmission.com. We'll be more than happy to help you get started and take your first step too. So amazing stuff. Keep writing, keep reading, and keep inspiring. We'll see you next time on the Authors on Mission podcast. All right, Xander. Well, that's a wrap.
Cool.
You did great. You're a pro at this. You know, you have your own podcast too, so you know what the spiel.
I do. I
Yeah.
do. Yeah, and I know how it goes, and I do. Thank you so much for having me on. It's always great to be able to talk about the writing process, and to honestly share that there's more than one way to write a book. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean the text, the voice chatting, I guess you would call it, that works perfectly too. You know, whatever works to get your ideas on the page. So I think people can really
Yeah.
benefit from that tip.
Yeah, I mean, the voice to text has come so much further than when,
It
I
has.
started in 2003, where there was like Dragon Naturally Speaking, which, although was cutting edge at the time, really didn't work that well, was incredibly difficult to use. And that's why I literally just started dictating into a recorder, and I had to hire a transcriptionist to transcribe it. So
Right. Well, hey, it worked out for you. You had to figure out what best suited.
exactly.
Yeah. Well, that being said, I'm going to take this recording and send it to the editors. They're going to add a
Yeah,
little bit of audio, visuals, make it look pretty, and I'll let you know when it's all set to go.
you
That's
bet. Thanks so much.
Of course, probably about 6 to 8 weeks, just so you know, just because there's some other authors on
I
the.
totally get it.
Yeah,
Not a
been there,
problem.
done that, right?
I'm doing it right now. Let me tell you, I'm telling people, all right, your podcast is coming out, in December, and here I am recording in October. So it takes time to
Yeah.
come out.
Yeah.
My podcast comes out once a week, and sometimes I'm recording 3 podcasts in a week. So I'm like, all right, well, yeah, your podcast is now coming out in like 2 months, because I'm just, stacked up that way.
Understood. Yeah, I get you. Yeah, that's exactly what we do too. So thanks for being on the same page.
No
Um,
problem.
I'll be in touch then, and until then, enjoy the rest of your day. Okay.
You too. Bye
Thank
now.
you so much. Have a good one.
That's a wrap on another episode of the Authority on Demand podcast. If today's conversation sparked something in you, don't keep it to yourself. Share this episode with a founder or a leader who's ready to stop being the best kept secret in their industry. If you want to turn your expertise into inbound demand, head to authorityondemand.com to see how we help clients go from unknown to in demand. I'm Danielle Hutchinson, and I'll catch you on the next one. Now, go build some authority.